Alright guys, this is my Craftsman M230 push mower. It's self-propelled wheels in the front, which I've recently replaced. I didn't do a video on those though, but they're really easy. The old ones, the tread was wore off, so they were literally just spinning wheels. But these wheels were like, I want to say 20 bucks on Amazon, so not bad. It's seen better days, obviously. This is its 4th season, and I want to do a bit of maintenance on it. I've got a cool little maintenance kit here that I'm going to show you guys that I ordered. And I'm going to change the oil, and I'm going to attempt to suck the old oil out because there is no drain plug. This is one of those no oil change required, which I don't really trust. But it still does start on the first pull with the original spark plug, never changing the oil, anything like that. So I don't know. I want to keep it that way, so I'm going to go ahead and try to change the oil today. And then we've got a new filter, air filter as well, and fuel filter and spark plug. So the first step is let's get this cleaned up a little bit. All right, we've got her cleaned up a bit. Looks much better, and got all this stuff, the debris. The big thing is, I mean, this doesn't need to be showroom quality, but you need to clean enough to where when you start opening things up, no debris and stuff's getting inside, like the spark plug or the air filter or anything like that. So just give it a good rinse. I used a soft scrub brush to get some of this stuff off. But let's take a look at the oil. Again, this is 4 years. You can see it's pretty dark. I've seen vehicles like cars with much darker oil. I was expecting it to be a little bit darker than that after 4 years. But it is still pretty dark, so I'm going to see how much of it we can get out of there. So since we don't have a drain plug, I'm going to have to try to suck some oil out of here. I've got this oil pump, extraction pump. It operates off of 12 volts, so I'll be hooking that up to my truck battery here in a second to run this. It's got an output and an input. This is the input. So this is the tube, the skinnier one that I'll stick down inside that oil reservoir and try to get as much out. And then here's the drain end. And of course, that'll just go into a bucket. All right, here it goes. I've got that stuck down in there as far as I can. It is sucking oil out. It's about to go through the pump and then spit out down into our bucket. So there's already a little bit of oil in that bucket, but I'll try to keep an eye on how much I can get out. So I changed over to this old pitcher just so I could tell exactly how much came out. And I'm really glad that I did, because this stuff is actually a lot dirtier than I thought it was just looking at the dipstick. So I'm glad we're getting this old oil out of here. All right, so I'm actually pleasantly surprised on how much we were able to get out of there. And you can see that stuff looks nasty. I don't know if it shows on camera, but it's like kind of, I don't know if it got water in it or what, but it doesn't look right. It's a little bit too milky for my taste. And I'm trying to read how many quarts we got out of here. It looks like we got about half a quart out, because there's the 1 liter mark right there. So got quite a bit out. I think the next step is to put some new oil in and just keep measuring it till we get it back up to par. I was going to tell you, I cleaned out the pump when I was done. When I couldn't suck any more out of the mower, I cleaned up the pump by just taking the input and spraying some WD-40 in there a couple of times, and that cleaned out the return line as well, which drained into that bucket over there. So that worked out quite well. The pump is a little bit slower than I would like. It probably took me about 10 minutes, but better that than trying to flip the mower upside down or something weird like that. All right, so I'm using Valvoline Advanced Full Synthetic 5W30 in here. I put in about half of a quart and then measured it, and it was at the bottom line on the dipstick. Those two lines are pretty close together. It was at the bottom line, so I put like about a quarter more, and that brought it up to full line. So after I start it and run it for a little while, I'll recheck it just to make sure everything's good. But we should have enough oil in there now. All right, what came in our little kit is a brand new air filter. There she is. Brand new spark plug. Oop. We've got a fuel filter, and we've got a shutoff. I don't know if this has this or not. I have not located it yet, so if I do, I'll show you. And then it came with, believe it or not, an entire housing with another new filter already in it. This will replace that entire housing right there. So yeah, there we go. It's exactly the same. So we're just going to replace the whole thing because it is pretty dirty inside there, and I'll show you guys that in a minute. But for the spark plug, we'll do that first. All you'll need to do is disconnect this boot right here. I already loosened it so I could do it on camera. And then you'll need a 5/8 inch standard deep socket spark plug socket, which comes in most starter ratchet kits. And we'll take that old one out and see what it looks like. All right, did I mention I'm really glad that I'm doing this service? Here is the old spark plug, and you can see is not in good shape at all. I can't believe that with this spark plug, I can't believe that this engine was starting up on the first pull for 4 years with even that dirty of a spark plug. And you can see there's some corrosion on here and some corrosion here. So I'm glad we're changing that. It's pretty gnarly. Anyway, when we screw the new one in, we're going to, of course, screw it in very loosely by hand to make sure we're catching all the threads properly and not cross-threading. And then we'll finish up torquing it with the socket wrench. All right, here's the part where it says, ready start, no prime, no choke, and no oil changes, just check and add. And there's a website you can get more information called justcheckanadd.com. But again, I don't trust that because you can see how nasty this mower is. Inside of the cover's not too bad. I cleaned that out recently, which is why I determined that I needed to do this maintenance kit. But you can see how nasty the air filter is. This thing is, I'm embarrassed at the state of it. I should have changed this long ago. And then you can see how much garbage is in here. So it looks like there is 4 8mm bolts to remove that backside, and then we can put the new one on after we clean it up. Slight correction on the bolts. The black ones that are on the outside are 8mm. Those 2 internal ones that bolt directly to the carb, those are 7mm. So now we've got that off. You can see it's got a breather tube that comes back here, so we're going to get that cleaned up, and we're going to get this cleaned up with some carb cleaner that I have over here. So we're going to get this all cleaned up before we put the new assembly on. All right, I'm pretty happy with how clean this got. Spots to focus, there's a little, it's almost like a little filter. It's cotton. I believe it's to allow air in. So clean that out pretty good, as well as this tube. And then clean this one pretty good too. This is just the vent for the gas, so that as you're bumping along in the heat, else the fumes escape, they'll go straight into the carburetor. So less emissions. And then if you want to spray inside the throttle body a little bit, you can manually open it right here to spray inside there. But I've got it cleaned up pretty good, and we're going to go ahead and put the new filter assembly back on now. All right, that is looking really good. What I did was, let's clip that in there. I'll probably have to get that off camera because I have to make sure it's squeezed in right there. But the old cover, or sorry, the new replacement cover did not come with a label like the one that's here. And I wanted to keep that label just in case I ever sell this thing, keep it original. So I just cleaned out the inside of it really good with, also with that carb cleaner, and it came out pretty good. So let's button this up and start it up and see how she is. All right, so it did take 3 pulls to get it started, which is unusual, but I'm not surprised because we did put quite a bit of carb cleaner in there, which you can see it sprayed out right here from the muffler. So I'll get that cleaned up, and this is ready to go back in the shop for the next time I mow. So if you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'll try to list all the parts that I used here in the description, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Oh, real quick, I forgot to mention, I could not find the fuel filter anywhere. Oh, and you can see I put that blank cover back on because the original one wasn't really fitting well. I don't know if it was warped or whatever, but I'm just going to save it and have that one on there for now and mess with that later. But I did want to tell you I could not find that fuel filter anywhere on here. So I don't think it has a fuel filter. If anybody knows differently, let me know. Maybe it's underneath the shroud or something, but I can't see it without taking anything apart. So I'm not going to worry about that for now. Everything else looks good. And now we'll really see you guys on the next one.